it's Frank. Today's March and continuing the drawings for the parody I'm working on. Let me create a new layer and I'll create a dragon, like a parody of the character Singe from Dragon's Lair. And that game has always been a major inspiration for growing up and my cartoons and drawings. So let me start here. Usually I'll start with the eyes. Now these eyes could be allowed to blink, but I'd have to work on that. One thing I'll do is like exaggerate the character. This is all out of my head, so I'm going to vary it up. It's not meant to be a replica of the original. There's even with a new recording program, unfortunately there's a delay between my input and the screen, so I have to go really slow with the line. If I go quick, it'll create a like a jagged edge, a rough edge, so I'll just go slow. Alright, so for the mouth I have to figure out, is he going to open his mouth? And that would be really cool to see his mouth open up. So what I want to do is just draw his teeth for now. And usually the outer teeth at the edges have more of a fang look to them. So I'll just have this one right here be longer than the other ones. And then continuing with these back molar teeth, so he could crunch his food. I could just connect them like that, or just leave a little space there. This way it paints in a lot faster. So then next thing I'll do is his upper face, his upper skull. And usually a dragon will have horns, and of course this one has horns as well. With this character, I'm going to exaggerate when I put it together certain aspects of the character, just to make it more far-fetched with the design. So he's got these weird horns. And the reason I draw these little lines in here is it gives it volume by rounding it out. If I just left it blank, you wouldn't see that volume as well. So one thing I want to consider is the lower jaw. It's going to rotate up from this pivot point here, so I have to draw the overlap, which would be, now the jaw would fit in there, so I have to figure out how this is gonna work here. one thing I always liked about dragons is they have like these fins on the side of their head. Not all of them, but it's like a neat fin. So I'm thinking, well, I'll just draw it in there. I was gonna make it separate, but then this is just gonna be a quick drawing. I'm not going to get overly complex with it. I wonder if I move that further out of the way, if that'll affect the the speed of this line. Let's see what happens. Yeah, no improvement. So here's his other set of fins on the side of his head. I always thought these were fun to draw. And I still remember I was a kid in, I think it was, yeah, 3rd grade, and I was listening to the teacher talk and drawing a dragon on my writing book. We were given like a little book to write stories in, and I put the words writing. Then I had a dragon on the front cover. Looking back, it was like a monster, and I always liked drawing monsters. So Dragon's Lair, the video game, has a ton of different monsters and creatures and stuff like that that really always inspired me. Thanks to Don Bluth and his animators, and he's a awesome animator himself. I just wish the Dragon's Lair movie, rather than being a live action, was animated. That would have been awesome. So the lower jaw I have to create right now, and I'll start with the lower teeth. I'll just keep them all together for this front part. They have a Dragon's Lair animated series, which I have on DVD, and I think it's entertaining. I mean, it's nowhere near the video game as far as the quality, but it captures the theme of the video game and the characters to some pretty good extent, I think. The drawings are more clumsy, which is fine. I think Hanna-Barbera did it. I'm a major fan of Hanna-Barbera cartoons and animation. I love the way they do things, their sound effects and their style to their animation, and I've always been a big fan of their stuff. They've made hundreds of cartoons. It's incredible. They've always been an inspiration as well. And they did a Space Ace animated cartoon as well. That one, yeah, I don't have that one on video. It was like an animated series based on that Space Ace video game by Don Bluth, which was also really cool. On my old computer, the Amiga 2000, I have Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. The animation was redrawn for those discs, for those programs, and they did a great job for redrawing everything. At least from what I could see, it looks like they had to redraw it into sprites. Because in the actual film, they're more like, rather than sprites, they're actual cells. So it was an actual film. That front part, I think I'll get rid of that. That doesn't improve anything. So next thing I'll do, and this is all out of my head, I think he has some sort of like beard. So I'll just add a couple strands here for under his lower jaw, and then I'll float and move around. And then that could be his tongue too. I could duplicate it and have that as his tongue, although I could do that right now as tongue and just make that separate. He'll have like a snake tongue. So then next thing I'll do are his eyeballs. Well, not his eyeballs, his little pupils. I'll just make these solid color. It's so hard to draw when the thing is delayed like that. It's not impossible, thankfully. I still have my style there. I just gotta go slow. So this piece will attach here. You just have to make sure that this here is covered, otherwise it's gonna look weird. So that piece is gonna go there. I want to make sure I have enough here so it doesn't look like it's his jaw is falling apart. I think that'll connect pretty well. Alright, next thing I have to do is the body and the neck and the arms and the legs. Those I think I'll keep separate. So the next thing, let's see. Yeah, I'll keep his neck separate. And actually, let me get the torso first. And he usually stands up, but I'll have him kind of like crawl. I'll have it like be a three-quarter view, and I'll have a really big belly. And he does have fins on his back. I have to count for those. I'll just simplify them and do something like that. Nothing fancy or anything. Then he's got a big tail as well. So here, let's see, I know I have to create the underbelly. So that would round out here and then continue there. And then there's like armor plating on the underbelly, so I could just do that and see how those fins, or I'm sorry, the plates help round out the look of the character. It creates a neat effect. Alright, next thing I have to do is his arms and legs. But before I do that, let me draw his neck. I think I have to go right here. I'm gonna make this like ridiculously exaggerated. Alright. Maybe that's not too far-fetched at the moment, but then I have to add the fins on the neck. like Godzilla. And those are always fun to draw. You could vary it up as much as you want. Now I have to just draw some lines here to give it a sense that there's roundness to the shape of it. One thing I've learned from like studying Disney animation style and Don Bluth's animation, who used to be a Disney animator, was to never really have parallel lines. So like, see these lines here, I wouldn't go like that. I mean, you could, but then it looks a little awkward. Like in nature, it's rare that you'd see the lines so parallel like that. Alright, so next thing I'll do, now that that is done, I have to draw the front legs, and then the back legs are the biggest, so let me draw those first. And I'll make them sort of like that. Nothing, not trying to replicate what's on the cartoon. I'm just making it up as I go. So that should be okay. And then I'll just draw these here, like these claws. And then just give it a little more detail there. That's good. Alright, so next thing I'll do is the front arm. What's nice is you only have to draw one arm, and then you just replicate it. This is actually starting in the wrong spot. I have to bring it over here a little more. So his front arm will have these claws, and I'll exaggerate them a little bit. Alright, almost finished with this drawing, and then after this I usually go into the Anime Studio Pro and just piece it all together. Well, actually I'll piece it together here. That's the key. I have to cut this up individual pieces and then assemble it here to make it easier for me, so I could adjust it here as I like. Alright, next thing I do is the tail, but I'm going to use this for the tail. I just need to extend a little piece at the very end, so let me just draw that right there. And then I'll just connect it and merge it together. Just draw a little fin on there, like that. There we go. So I have everything I need here: the eyes, the body, arms, legs, the neck, the tail, the lower jaw. And the flames I could always do separately if I'm going to have them have flames. But there it is. So next thing I'll do, I think I have everything. And let's see, yeah, I think that should be fine. So next thing I'll do is paint it all in. I have to, well, I don't have to, but I like to replicate it and then go to the lower layer and then just paint it all in. So the first thing I'll do are his teeth, which I'll make a little bit shade of yellow. This layer here, I'll just delete it. This way you can see the colors appear as they're happening. More contrast here with the blank background. So that would be the teeth, and then for his tongue I'll just color it that color, and then here I guess I could do that there too, and then I'll just paint the dragon color. Let's see, it's like a greenish color, but I could vary it up a little bit. That seems okay. So I'll just paint all this in really quick. It's fun to see the color bring the drawing to life. It really does. Like, I appreciate the black and white animated cartoons back in the 20s and 30s and even before that. I just wish that they had the choice of color back then, where film unfortunately was just black and white, and well, more of a range of grays than black and white. But so this is the necessity of black. Alright, so actually that wouldn't have to be. So next color I'll do is the it's like a purple color. And the inner fins, I'll make that color as well. And then this as well. Oh, I have to color his lower jaw. I forgot. And then his upper fins. And then for the eyes, I'm just gonna leave them open. I think I could have them closed. There's an easy way to do it. I think I know how I'll do it. So next thing I'll do is get back to that lower jaw. There we go. And finally I have to color the inner scales. I can make them lighter, but in this case I think I just want to try something different. Usually they are lighter, but I'll make them darker this time. And they'll match his claws. Alright, so next thing I'll do is paint the eyes, and they could be white. The only thing I want to do first before I do that is paint the rest of these fins. Very carefully go in the line there. Now for the eyes, if I was thinking just draw a line across there, but the only way I could do that is to duplicate that layer. So before I get to that, what I'll do is duplicate this skull and then just have the eyes closed on the other skull and just paint that in really easily. Since there's no shading, I don't have to worry about it. Now one thing I do want to do is give this drawing a little more finesse. So one way to do that, I have to merge this layer down, and now I'll just cut the edge of the line so it creates a wow, that was a delay. So it creates a not a round edge, but a chiseled edge, and I think it gives the drawing so much more style with such a simple little thing, you know. The other end could be blunt and rounded, but at least one end, I think, if you have it chiseled like that, it makes it look a more stylized, in my opinion. It doesn't have to be for every single line, but it looks like more like a calligraphy style. I think it makes it really stand out. Such a basic little line. And I use the smudge tool to do that, rather than use an eraser or something like that, which would only erase the colors. Well, that was too much there. But that's good. I get the general idea of it. And if I was drawing this on paper, I'd have to set up a whole new camera, which I don't have any kind of setup for. So it's just much easier to have it already on the computer, because scanning it in takes quite a bit of time to set up. My old scanner, unfortunately, no longer is compatible. Alright, so there it is. I have that, and now I'll start to create individual layers. So I'll start here and with the tongue, edit, copy, cut, paste to new layer, and there it is. And this lower beard that goes right under the front of his lower jaw, I'll get that next. And now the lower jaw. His eyeball, his pupil. I'll name that right away, since they have to create a duplicate of it. Yeah, I used to draw dragons since I was a little kid, and that was one of my favorite monsters to draw. And of course, Dragon's Lair was a major reason for that. So to be able to do this years later, to finally do like a parody spoof cartoon of it, for my appreciation of the series, but to just put like a more comical spin on it, is like really fun. Something I always wanted to do but never got around to it, only because I was always so focused on creating my own original cartoons, which is really important for me to do as an artist, to create original ideas and stuff like that. But it's fun to do stuff like this as well. One thing about my drawing style as a criticism is that, like, my style is drawn immediately. There's no practice lines or anything like that. So when I try to duplicate, let's say I had to redraw the same face, I have to really focus in to get that face just like I saw in the other drawing that I created. In other words, for me to redraw the same character, well, I guess it would take practice for anybody. But that would be my only challenge that I thought about over the years. I said, well, how do I redraw stuff? I mean, I just focus in and redraw it, but it's more of a challenge for me personally. Alright, so now that I have all these pieces together, now I'll go back to the skull, which is right here. I'll duplicate it, and now I'll paint this in after I draw the, well, actually I'll paint it in first, and then I'll draw these black lines here. And always give it a round curve if you can, and that represents his eyes closed. So there's the eyeball closed, and I give that a little opening there. This way, and his eyes open. Now the opening eyes, this is where I just will paint this color. There it is. So that has been accomplished, and next thing I have to do, I should have named this. Alright, so this tail I have to duplicate. I'll call this part the neck and this part the tail. And then this is his torso. This part here is his arm, leg. This is his tip of the tail, but I'll just call it tail 2. And then lower jaw, just call it jaw. And then beard. Finally, his tongue. There it is. So that's it for now. In the next drawing I'll piece it all together. And thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe, like, and comment, and have a good day.